I was really blessed. I have a great family, great parents who were always supportive. In many ways, it was an uneventful childhood. I played a lot of sports. Some I was decent at, some I was horrible at. Read a lot. I was blessed to, my mother's a teacher, a professor at Birmingham Community College. I come from 4 generations of educators, so reading was really important in the family. Man, I'm 33. I still hope I got more tomorrows than yesterdays. But with that being said, all right, I did have this kind of attitude in my early 20s and teens of always thinking about what's the next step? What's the next step? What's after that? And when you do that, you lose the opportunity to appreciate what's going on. The other thing that I really would go back and tell myself is, look, no one's watching and no one cares. There's this sense that you have, you get very involved in your own life, and you think that when you have a failure or when you have a misstep, the world is watching you. No one gives like everybody, you walk around this world and everyone's so self-involved, and that's actually liberating to realize that everybody is just thinking about their own personal struggles, their own personal hopes and dreams and insecurities, and you could mess up so unbelievably and they would never even bat an eye, they wouldn't even acknowledge it, they wouldn't even know. The first thing to note about my service is just how unremarkable it is compared to what so many of the soldiers and officers and veterans who I've come across have done post 9/11. We've asked soldiers, and they have deployed 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. I know guys that have been downrange for longer than they've been with their children, and their children are 10, 12 years old. We have never in the history of the United States, in the history of our country, asked soldiers to do what they're doing now. It is unbelievable. When I deployed, I saw soldiers, the men and women I was entrusted with leading, put their differences aside and rise to accomplish things that were well beyond what people had thought that they could do when they were growing up. They are such remarkable human beings. And so that, any story that I would have of service speaks to their brilliance and their courage. Certainly ingrained in me the idea of I remember my experience in Ranger School. Ranger School is a 62-day course minimum, leadership course centered around food and sleep deprivation, obviously physical exertion and multiple phases. I think I was at Ranger School for over 200 days. They just beat the shit out of me. And I figured out every way to fail Ranger School. Every single way I must have done it. But the guidance that the senior enlisted and the officers gave me was, don't quit. Do not quit. And when you finally succeed, all of the pain and suffering you're going through will seem like a distant memory. And they were right. I remember that first day getting my Ranger tab, and I'd broken my foot, so I was kind of hobbled. I forgot every single day of pain and suffering. And it's so simple. Just don't quit. Well, I remember one guy said, look, you have 2 options. You die or you succeed. That is still, obviously, with less intensity. I don't want to freak anyone out here, but that still remains a North Star for me. In the military is over 90% of succeeding is showing up in the right place at the right time with the right uniform, with the right attitude. And I think what we do all too often, I see this sometimes amongst the people who work with me here, is that there's this sense of, the vision of the perfect becomes the enemy of progress. And you think, oh my God, there's no way I could do that perfectly, so I'm not going to try. But so much of life is throwing your hat in the ring and figuring out as you go. That is so much of life. Having the confidence to know that the rest of the people who are competing against you, the rest of the people around the table, they're not superhumans at all. There has never been a superhuman in the history of the United States. We have lionized them, certainly, but these are normal folks. And any kind of in-depth study of these individuals reveals that, and we have got to remember that. All too often what I find is that people's lack of self-confidence is what stifles them. One has to also learn to deal with failure. Every single time you fail and survive, it's not a failure, it's a success, because you learn something. And I also find, I've had some incredible failures in my life. When I started off in the military, I was like the worst soldier in the United States military. I must have been. But now, having served and continue to serve, I'm in a position to talk to other people about my failures. I'm in a position to tell people, look at how unbelievably I messed this up. And I'm still here and I learned from it, and it was a gift in the end. People have to stop thinking about failures as this moment where they were treated unfairly. You get a fair shake because you woke up and you're still alive and you're still in the fight. That's all you're ever going to get. That's all you're ever going to get. My platoon sergeant, when I deployed to Afghanistan, who was always so calm. And he was always able to see the big picture. I would often come to him freaking out because I was so pissed off about what some colonel just did. I always felt like we weren't given a fair shake, and I felt misunderstood. And he did two things which were so important. One is he didn't argue with me. He didn't make me feel like an idiot, but he helped me see the bigger picture. And he helped me understand that I wasn't just getting screwed over, that what I was doing fit into a much, much bigger organization, a much, much larger mission. And sometimes, my individual failures or my individual frustration still equated to organizational success, which, is a tough thing for a young person to learn. You have to take extreme ownership of everything you do while also seeing the much bigger thing at play here. Every time I've had a great mentor, this is what I've been blessed by, is that they've been able to simplify things for me. It's not a complex situation. Don't quit. Work as hard as you can. Be compassionate. Be self-aware. And always be creative. You do those things, you're going to be okay. Just do not quit. This is checkers, not chess. No, and I'm not sure if anyone really does. It's such a odd profession to get into. But I gotta tell you, it's something that I always felt attracted to service. And I think I was brought up with this expectation that, don't just complain. Don't just talk about what you think should be done. What are you doing? Be on the sidelines. And that has been the North Star of my entire life, whether I was serving in the healthcare space or in active duty military or in the National Guard now, or thankfully now in elected office for as long as the good people of South Brooklyn and Staten Island will have me. When I've spoken to young people who have thought about politics, I think they've operated under the presumption that elected officials are somehow more prepared for this profession than they are at that moment. And quite frankly, it's just not true. Every person has something to offer, and the only way to figure out if you can do this, both by winning or succeeding or successfully staffing an elected official, is by doing it. So don't overthink it, jump in. We need you.